came up with the me-bounds thing, y'all ate that up. Because rebounds, me-bounds, rebounds, key-bounds, T-bounds, T-bounds, anything that comes off that board, it's mine. It's mine.
The Chicago Sky just ended Angel Reese's entire career with one announcement. And honestly, she did it to herself. They named Camila Cardoso Player of the Year, not Angel Reese.
Broke. Angel Reese plans on remaining with the Chicago Sky after Rocky in the 2025. You may be like, Rocky, question mark? Yeah, you don't remember? She threw all of her teammates under the bus and then ran the bus over them. In that interview that came out, I think it was the Chicago Sun-Times. And her teammates, nah, they wasn't having it.
Not the so-called Barbie brand, not the player who spent all season telling everyone she's the franchise. Cardoso, the player who actually showed up. This is the most savage organizational move in WNBA history, and if you don't understand why this is career-ending, stick around because this gets absolutely nuclear. Drop a comment right now. Should the Chicago Sky...
So, you see this right here. Camila Cardoso was named the Magellan Player of the Year. Chicago Sky. So, she was named the Player of the Year. Right here. For the Chicago Sky, right? 15 times Chicago Sky Player of the Game. All right, 6 times Chicago Sky Player of the Week. 2-time Chicago Sky Player of the Month. I love this particular statistic. 40 games played. Woo! A lot can be taken from the 40 games played statistic, right? Because let's be honest, here's Angel. 30 games played.
Trade Angel Reese after this disaster? Because what I'm about to show you is going to blow your mind. Let's talk about what just happened in Chicago. The Sky didn't just pick a Player of the Year. They sent a message heard across the entire league. They looked at Angel Reese's antics all season long and said, we're done playing games. Camila Cardoso, 40 games played, 15 Player of the Game awards, 6 Player of the Week honors, 2 Player of the Month awards. She showed up every single day, did her job, and didn't need a press tour to remind everyone she existed. Meanwhile, Angel Reese played 30 games, and somehow still led the league in drama per possession. The timing of this announcement is absolutely...
It's very possible the Chicago Sky front office was questioning the injury themselves. Would they admit that? Of course, never. Well, Rhodes, are you saying that Angel wasn't hurt? No. I'm just saying maybe they gave it the fuzzy eyeball just a little bit. In light of the fact that the team was bad, second year in a row, precedent from the rookie year and unrivaled of just stopping, not playing anymore. And then it happens yet again.
Chef's kiss perfect. It dropped right after Reese went on her little Chicago Tribune press tour, where she basically told the world her teammates aren't good enough for her Royal Highness. She said getting good players and great players was, quote, non-negotiable for her future with the team. Read that again. Non-negotiable, like she's negotiating from a position of strength, like she's LeBron James in 2010. Imagine being in that locker room. You're grinding every day. You've put in years in this league, and a player who still can't hit a consistent jumper is telling reporters you're not good enough, that you're a settle, that the entire roster needs a complete overhaul. She wasn't subtle about it either. Angel Reese has never met a subtle moment in her life. She literally said she wouldn't settle for the same we did this year and positioned herself as the shadow general manager, talking about how she'd help attract top talent to Chicago. The audacity is actually impressive. It takes a special kind of ego to publicly trash your coworkers while leading the league in turnovers. That's like the dude who shows up late to work every day complaining about everyone else's productivity. She attacked her teammates' quality in the most public forum possible. Every player in that locker room got the message, you're not good enough for Angel Reese. And let's talk about the disrespect toward Courtney Vandersloot. This woman is a legend. two-time champion, five-time All-Star, someone who actually knows what winning basketball looks like. Reese had the unbelievable nerve to say the team can't rely on Courtney because of her age and reliability. Age and reliability about a player who's won more championships than Reese has played complete seasons. Vandersloot had to come out and defend herself in the media. When you have veterans publicly responding to your nonsense, you haven't just lost the locker room, you've burned it to the ground and salted the earth. Here's what makes this even more insane. The Sky front office had already bent over backwards for Reese. They traded for Ariel Atkins specifically to give her the veteran presence she claimed she wanted. They gave up draft picks, made roster moves with her development in mind, and she repaid them by going on a press tour to say it wasn't enough? The organization invested in her vision, and she responded by telling the world they failed her. Vandersloot's response showed the difference between real leadership and entitled demands. She defended herself and the entire roster without ever directly naming Reese. That's class, that's professionalism, that's what actual leaders do. Other veterans watched this unfold and started asking themselves a very important question. What does Angel Reese actually understand about being a leader versus just being a stat-padding prima donna? Now ask yourself this. How many players around the league heard what Reese said about Courtney Vandersloot and thought, yeah, I want to play with that person? How many free agents listened to her trash her current teammates and said, sign me up? Most players aren't exactly lining up to join someone who throws teammates under the bus with 3 games left in the season. She broadcast to the entire WNBA that her teammates weren't good enough to help her succeed. Every player heard that message loud and clear. The unity that championship teams require became impossible to build. You can't win when your supposed star is actively campaigning for everyone to get fired. Then there's the disappearing act. Oh boy. While the Sky were fighting for their playoff lives, Angel Reese became a professional ghost. Her injury status was more classified than Area 51. One day it's a back injury, the next she's day-to-day for weeks with zero real updates or medical details. Coaches couldn't plan rotations, teammates didn't know who'd be available. The entire operation became chaos. The back injury excuse started falling apart real quick when people noticed what Reese was doing during her absences. She traveled to Indiana to promote her Reebok sneakers instead of supporting her team from the bench. She dropped lines about taking over her rival's backyard while her own teammates were getting demolished back home. She actively hyped her shoe release on social media like it was the Super Bowl, completely ignoring the fact that her team was in a death spiral. Fans started calling her the Vanishing Barbie because she disappeared whenever accountability showed up. That nickname is absolutely brutal and 100% earned. The lack of transparency made everything worse. Other teams gave clear injury updates and recovery timelines. The Sky just kept saying day-to-day like they were protecting nuclear launch codes. Her technical fouls told an even worse story about her mental state. Reese racked up 8 technicals during the season, earning an automatic suspension. 8! The final technical came when she struck Aaliyah Edwards in the head while battling for a rebound. The league didn't hesitate. The suspension happened right before a crucial game against the Indiana Fever, the exact matchup everyone wanted to see. Her lack of control cost her team when they needed her most. But wait, it gets worse. The Sky organization had to take even more drastic action. They suspended Reese for conduct detrimental to the team, based on statements she made during league-mandated media. Read that phrase again, conduct detrimental to the team. That's not a slap on the wrist, that's the organizational equivalent of, we're done with your nonsense. The half-game suspension felt weak, showing the Sky were caught between disciplining their problem player and needing her for ticket sales. Here's the part that really exposes everything. The Sky actually played better without her on the floor. The offense moved faster, possessions looked less chaotic, the team didn't seem weighed down by a player who demanded touches and then turned the ball over. Reese led the league in turnovers despite missing significant portions of the season, 101 turnovers in 26 games. That's a stat for the history books, just not the kind you want in your highlight reel. 20% of the time Reese attempts a shot inside 9 feet, it gets blocked. 20%! And as the critics say, she's absolutely terrible when it comes to efficiency. Those are facts, not opinions. teammates started questioning where her priorities really were. She demanded roster changes while being strategically unavailable herself. Veterans who had given everything to build winning cultures watched Reese prioritize brand activities over team success. The contrast was impossible to ignore. She wanted better players, but wouldn't consistently play alongside the ones they had. That's not leadership, that's hypocrisy. The players-only meeting that teammates planned to address Reese's comments directly should never have been necessary. Professional athletes shouldn't need to confront their supposed leader about basic team loyalty. Rachel Bannum captured the exhaustion everyone felt when she said, "I think I just don't really care. I'm so over all this." That's a veteran player admitting she was tired of the constant circus. Ariel Atkins, the player they literally traded for to help Reese, had to acknowledge the situation by saying, "We are aware of it, we are addressing it." Even coach Tyler Marsh called handling Reese's comments a top-down organizational decision. The locker room became divided immediately. Chicago's chemistry collapsed because reliability is the foundation of team sports. Players need to know who's going to show up. Coaches need to know who's available for game plans. Fans need to know their star player cares about winning. Reese's disappearing acts destroyed all of that. She created a toxic environment where nobody could count on their supposed centerpiece. The Sky discovered that having a player who demands excellence from others while failing to meet basic professional standards creates organizational chaos. You want to know what real leadership looks like? Let's talk about what was happening in Indiana while Chicago was drowning in drama. Their star player handled setbacks with complete transparency. When she dealt with an ear injury that affected her hearing during games, she explained the situation openly. She never made excuses or created mystery around her availability. The Fever always knew exactly where she stood physically and mentally. She traveled with the team even when she couldn't play. She sat on the bench during games, cheering teammates and staying engaged with every possession. That kind of leadership builds a culture that can't be bought with Reebok money. She constantly praised her teammates' defensive improvements and rebounding consistency. She highlighted their shooting and called them the most reliable players on the roster. They lifted them up in interviews instead of tearing them down. They talked about how resilient and connected they were, how they pull for each other. That unselfishness created opportunities that benefited everyone. The chemistry built in Indiana became legendary around the league. They spent extra time after practice working on timing and court spacing. The respect flowed both ways, creating trust that translated directly to wins. Their development proved what positive influence can accomplish. Players went from struggling with confidence to becoming the league's most reliable pieces. They fed each other easy baskets and celebrated defensive stops like they were game winners. Indiana's attendance numbers exploded.